First of all, have you voted yet?
No.
Oh, Paul.
And actually,
Paul.
no. I've got my orange envelopes over there, and they're actually waiting for me. And I'm going to tell you why I haven't voted. I'm not making excuses, but so they want me to do a video of when I vote. And then I've got to do this, and I've got to do this reel, and I've got to do all these things. I think, why can't I just go and chuck it in? So it's, it's a bit of that. And so tomorrow there's a bit of a reel being made that Fire Deb's voted. And it's really embarrassing because my daughter's standing here for local community board. And she's like, Mum, have you voted for me yet? Mum, have you voted for me yet? I'm thinking, okay. So my staff are back to do the the video tomorrow. So that's why. Geez, that was
Perfect.
that was a really long. You really caught me out, Paul.
Well, see, for
voted?
me, that's a really big thing, though, because it is because it's a postal ballot election. It's old-fashioned. The system doesn't work anymore. It needs to be upgraded, and a lot of people are in the same boat. I'm going to get to it at some stage. And to be fair, my voting forms are also sitting on the table because I've been doing the research on Tamaki and going.
Me too.
Yeah, so I'm as guilty of it as everybody else in this conversation. But I want to just sort of remember and remind people that, first of all, you can still vote. You've got a week to be able to get things into the post for it to get back to be counted.
7th of October.
Māori Wards, 7 days for the postal service, but you can do drop-offs and stuff like that right up until lunchtime on the 11th. When it comes to Māori Wards, I sat through and watched the select committee process on this. It was overwhelmingly against doing what the government has done and forcing this referendum onto councils. The people that I've spoken to on councils are livid because, this is an extra expense. This isn't something that they felt they needed to do. There seems to be no mandate for it. And now they're up against places like Hobson's Pledge doing the whole stealing people's images and going anti-Māori wards. You've got people who are running in these wards who are really specifically having to battle against, please give me a job. Also, please make sure I've still got a job next election to run for, because that seems to be falling on them. I'm really curious to get your perspective as the leader of Te Pāti Māori about the whole thing, to be honest, because it feels like a mess, like it's been rushed through to me.
Yeah, I think thanks for that. At least I can answer that question. So what I have seen, and we've been really complaining in my electorate, there are 3 that haven't been included, 1 in Taitonga, Opotiki, and around in Ikaroa Rāwhiti. Anyway, long story short, the whole process of having physical pamphlets and having to drop them in has meant that you're extremely reliant on everything getting into those booklets and pamphlets or voting forms. And in Māori wards, for example, we've had a whole lot of the Māori ward councillors be missed out. Some of them who were successful in Nelson and Manawatu have been missed out. But the problem is that they're needed to be in there so that those who are doing the referendum, because they remember that's what's on at the moment, are able to see, there are these people in these seats, and I know that person, so therefore they may actually support a referendum. And what we've seen, and I've put in tons of we had questions in the House to the ministers. I've put in tons of written questions, and actually Ken Mayer last night and a group of our electorate issued and have put in the district high court in Whanganui papers to actually say there should be an injunction to stop this referendum. If people are missing, it's actually not a valid process. Something's wrong, and they should be reviewing it before they go and do any more. And I think those are some of the things that we're seeing are going to make this process flawed. They've made it difficult for people to be able to understand. And I think there's a real apathy before some of those electorates that actually those wards that aren't even voting, because it's, it should be electronic, for goodness sake. But even then, there's an assumption that people can go in during working hours, or that they have fuel to go in. And some councils have been absolutely dynamic and doing all sorts of weird dances and TikTok things to try and get the the voting rate up. But a lot have done nothing. So I think the inconsistencies, government put the referendum on the regions, on the councils, and it's been up to them, on top of running a process with a minimal budget, to sort of try and make it work. Something as important as our referendum for Māori wards should have had a hell of a lot more investment. There should have been a hell of a lot more promotion at a national level coming out of central government. And I feel real aroha for those candidates who are not only just going out to try and say, vote me, they have to also sell and make it, you know, understandable and relatable to their community what Māori Wards are and deal with the referendum. It's been a really atrocious process, and it's been manakied and looked after with a lot of great candidates' goodwill, with a lot of iwi, with a lot of amazing tangata tariti who are supporting the wards and the way that they've gotten all out there. Andrew Judd's been championing some massive movement to counteract the you know, slobs and plodgers. But, you know, I think those are, you know, things that shouldn't have to happen. There should be equity and equality applied in anything that is so important to us as a nation. And it's just been an absolute train wreck. So, yeah. I just see a comment here, got your tan this week. Yeah, that's really interesting that you guys believe with it's like, yeah, leave me alone. I may be white, but I'm not. You know, it's just like, and I think that's the that's what we're sort of seeing, is this attitude that people are getting more. They're taking something away from something, and so then we get a bit nasty and start to dig in, and I guess try to find spots that make people, you know, be more divisive and look at why you would want that. The reality that I can see is, why would you not want your iwi or Māori at the council table, bringing about their expertise, the fact that they're a lot more successful than non-Māori economically, the fact that their perpetual funds are outperformed council perpetual funds, the fact that they have a younger generation, therefore a lot more of those coming through to sort of stay at home and work and invest and buy in I guess, invest in their own people and buy into the commitment needs to sort of take people for sports, care for the elderly. I just think, why would you not want a richer council? But yeah, that's just sort of, I guess, the hard work that I see Paul going on in the Māori ward space, and it's been tough. And I really am supportive of what Ken Mayer and them have done with issuing that paper, because I actually agree there should be an injunction. If only 4 or 5 councils and more have actually stuffed up the process, it should be stopped.